Where do you want me to start? What do you want me to tell you?
Tell me about him. Who is he? What's he? You know.
I ain't gonna tell you too much.
I know he played basketball.
He does play basketball. Him and Dad actually have a lot of similarities. He used to play for the Kings like years ago. So
hold on. Wait, stop the press. He used to play for the Kings?
Yes.
Shannon, you lying to me. You kept this close to your chest like I've never seen, Benna.
What if the daughter you raised for 20 years wasn't yours and your teammate knew all along? Doug Christie, former NBA player, just had his entire world flipped upside down. A recent DNA test didn't just give him answers, it lit his life on fire. But to understand how everything fell apart, we need to go back to the beginning. Doug had been having doubts for a while. Something in his gut told him that something wasn't right, but he kept those thoughts to himself. He didn't bring it up with his wife Jackie or their daughter Chantel. Instead, he quietly ordered a DNA test through a third-party lab. The results were shocking. There was no biological connection between Doug and Chantel, 0%. It should have ended there, but Doug needed to be sure. He went a step further and submitted another test, this time comparing Chantel's DNA with that of Chris Webber, his former teammate. That second test came back with a staggering match of 99.998%.
Hello. It was rude of me. I didn't introduce myself. I'm Chantel. I'm Jackie's daughter. Nice to meet you. In a little while. I'm Chantel, Jackie's daughter. Nice to meet you.
The truth was out. Chantel wasn't Doug's daughter. She was Chris Webber's. Doug didn't cry, scream, or break down. Instead, he became laser-focused. For years, he'd played the role of a loving father, a loyal husband, and a key figure in a picture-perfect family seen on TV. But with one piece of paper, it all fell apart. He didn't go public right away. No long rants online or dramatic interviews. Behind the scenes, however, he took action. Years of silence ended. Hidden secrets came into the light. And the carefully crafted image Jackie had built around their family began to crumble. Doug filed a lawsuit not just against Jackie, but also Chris Webber. He accused them of paternity fraud, saying they allowed him to believe Chantel was his child when they knew she wasn't. The suit detailed over 20 years of emotional distress, identity fraud, and financial deception. Doug's legal team laid out every dollar spent, $300,000 on private school tuition, medical bills, and daily living costs. Another $120,000 went toward therapy and emotional counseling. In total, Doug was suing for $4.6 million, and counting. What made it worse was how public Jackie had made their family. Through reality TV appearances, brand deals, and podcast shows, she built her fame on the illusion of a strong marriage and a perfect household.
I don't really recall like a family photo that we all took together. She was always like the outcast. Like my mom would go as far as to, Car, you have to run on the treadmill, and Shannon, you stand there and watch her, and you write down what time she got on and what time she got off. It's ridiculous. Like, she's like 12. I'm like 8. Like, you want me to stand here and watch her run on this treadmill because she's not the size that I am, or she's not the color that I am.
Now, Doug says it was all fake, just a performance. To make matters even more complicated, Doug is asking the court to officially change Chantel's birth certificate to reflect Chris Webber as her biological father. And things got even messier when Jackie allegedly tried to cover up the truth. Court documents revealed that Jackie attempted to bribe Chantel with $15,000 in cash, along with a handwritten note urging her to stay quiet and protect what we've built. Instead of keeping the money, Chantel turned it over to Doug's lawyers. They wasted no time. A cease and desist letter was sent to Jackie, the bribe was documented, sealed, and submitted to the court. Jackie is now being investigated for witness tampering, which took her actions from dishonest to criminally reckless. Then came the testimonies, and they were painful. Doug sat quietly and said just 7 words that made the entire courtroom freeze. I was hiding a lie, not a woman. That moment made it clear this wasn't about jealousy or a bitter breakup. It was about the emotional toll of living a lie for 20 years, while being presented to the world as a devoted husband and dad. Doug admitted that he had suspicions before. The timelines didn't add up. The chemistry between Jackie and Chris had changed years ago. But he ignored those thoughts because he believed he had a real family. Jackie's testimony started strong, but quickly fell apart. When asked if she knew Doug might not be Chantel's father, She said she felt it but was too emotional to face the truth. Instead of coming clean, she put Doug's name on the birth certificate and lived with that decision for 2 decades. When questioned about the cash in the note, she claimed it wasn't a bribe, just help. But her words in the letter told a different story. Don't destroy what we've built.
Blows my mind. It really just, it disgusts me, because that was another thing. Like, for years, my sister and I, we didn't speak to each other. No relationship whatsoever, because she always played us against each other. She's fat and she's black and you're skinny and you need to stay in shape and you're the model, and it blows my mind.
The courtroom wasn't buying it. Chris Webber eventually showed up too. Quiet until now, he confessed that he always suspected he was Chantel's real father, but avoided testing because it was easier to stay silent. I thought I was doing the right thing by stepping aside, he said. I wish I had stepped up sooner. 3 voices. 3 stories. 1 truth: a family built on lies had completely collapsed. Behind the scenes, the fallout was huge. Jackie's brand took a nosedive. A major skincare company dropped her. A fashion sponsor erased her from their campaigns. Her relationship podcast was cancelled, with her co-host releasing a statement about ethical concerns. Even her real estate license is under internal review. VH1 syndication of Basketball Wives episodes featuring Jackie was quietly paused. Sources say she violated morality clauses in her old contracts. As for Chantel, she's taking back her life. She filed court papers to legally change her last name quietly, without public announcements or flashy posts. The paperwork cited emotional damage and the need to reclaim her identity. In a private session with a family therapist, Chantel said, "I don't hate either of them. I just need to figure out who I am without their lies." She spent 20 years being used as part of a family image that wasn't real. Now, she's stepping into her own truth. Doug's lawyers aren't stopping with this lawsuit. They're pushing the court to recognize paternity fraud as a legitimate civil crime. If successful, it could set a new legal precedent across the country. Most states currently treat these cases in family court, which rarely penalizes the person who lied. This case could open the door for other men to seek justice, not just for money, but for emotional and identity damage, too. Doug's filing frames this as a kind of civil identity theft. His name and identity were used for personal and public gain under false pretenses. Men's rights groups, family law advocates, and even lawyers have voiced support for Doug. Within 2 days of court records going public, justice for Doug was trending. Stories from other men started pouring in: fathers who paid child support for kids who weren't biologically theirs, or who were kept in the dark for years. This isn't just a personal lawsuit anymore, it's becoming a turning point. Doug's legal team says they've found inconsistencies in Jackie's paperwork, including errors on Chantel's original birth certificate. If it's proven she knowingly falsified legal records, the case could turn criminal. Charges like forgery, perjury, and obstruction of justice are now on the table. Streaming networks are reportedly circling the story, with rumors of a televised trial. Chris Webber's camp is already trying to arrange a private settlement to keep things quiet, but that window may be closing. Doug, through all of this, has remained calm. In his only public statement, he said, "This isn't about revenge. It's about the truth I was never given. And now the world is watching, not just because the truth came out, but because the truth, finally, is demanding justice." And that brings us to the heart of this unbelievable story. What started with a quiet DNA test has now exploded into a public legal battle, one that could change how family law works in this country. Doug Christie isn't just fighting for himself anymore. He's putting a spotlight on a painful issue that many men, fathers, and families face but rarely talk about. This isn't just a scandal or some viral moment to scroll past. It's about trust, identity, and the right to know the truth. For 20 years, Doug gave his love, his money, his time, and his name to a child he thought was his. And for 20 years, people who should have been honest weren't. Now, the courts will decide what happens next. Jackie could face criminal charges. Chris Webber may be legally named the biological father. Chantel, the one at the center of all this, is reclaiming her life and identity one step at a time. And Doug? He's fighting to make sure no one else has to go through what he did without a voice, without options, and without justice. But here's where I want to hear from you. Do you think Doug is right to take legal action, not just for damages, but to change how these situations are handled legally? Should paternity fraud be treated like identity theft in civil court? And what do you make of Jackie's decision to stay silent for so long and then try to keep the truth buried with money? Let's be real, this case is more than just drama. It's about the consequences of lies that go unchecked and the emotional damage they leave behind. It's about what happens when people treat family like a performance instead of a promise. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Was justice served? Who do you think should be held most accountable? Doug, Jackie, Chris, or maybe all three? If you found this story powerful, eye-opening, or just plain unbelievable, don't forget to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe for more real stories that go beyond the headlines. And tap the notification bell so you never miss an update. There's a lot more coming on this case, including trial dates, possible criminal charges, and public reactions as this unfolds. Trust me, this isn't over. Not by a long shot. And remember, sometimes, the truth doesn't just hurt. It changes everything. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. It's about what happens when people treat family like a performance instead of a promise. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Was justice served? Who do you think should be held most accountable? Doug, Jackie, Chris, or maybe all three? If you found this story powerful, eye-opening, or just plain unbelievable, don't forget to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe for more real stories that go beyond the headlines. And tap the notification bell so you never miss an update. There's a lot more coming on this case, including trial dates, possible criminal charges, and public reactions as this unfolds. Trust me, this isn't over. Not by a long shot. And remember, sometimes, the truth doesn't just hurt. It changes everything. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.